Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. The queue to see the Queen lying in state is paused for a time because of the thousands paying their respects. And with the weekend ahead, wait times will get longer.
Heading up to pay their respects, we talk to those from Kent and Sussex, not daunted by the long wait, stretching more than 5 miles.
Scouts' honour is to help other people and to serve the Queen, now the King. So it's part of the promise.
The badge of honour steeped in seaside history. How Her Majesty became a member of the Winkle Club on a tour of Sussex in the 50s and 90s.
I keep mine in here. For later.
Well, we all know now what was inside. We meet the royal handbag designer who knew exactly what made Her Majesty click. Good evening. So many people have travelled to London to see the Queen lying in state that the queue to see the Queen has been full and no one was allowed to join it for most of the day.
Some of the people who did make it to Westminster Hall said they'd had to wait more than 12 hours in a queue stretching around 5 miles.
Let's go to Phil Hornby, who's near the front of the queue. Phil, with the weekend coming up, more people are, of course, going to head there.
Yeah, that's right, Sangeeta. Here at the front of the queue, things are moving pretty smoothly. We had David Beckham walk through here just a little while ago. It's at the back of the queue that the congestion is, which is why the queue has been paused, as they put it, for much of the day. And as you say, as the weekend approaches and far more people pour into the capital, those congestion problems are bound to get worse. Today, the people who have made it into Westminster Hall after a very long wait all say, again, it was worth the wait.
In the middle of the night, the people kept coming. People who'd waited 10 or 12 hours in daylight and then in darkness to spend a couple of minutes at most in Westminster Hall.
So to put your emotions into words, on such a sad day, but we had to come down to pay our respects,
And today, many, many more people were still queuing. The operation running smoothly thanks to an army of volunteers.
It's been an amazing experience so far, and it's really a privilege and a great opportunity to be here. I've been helping out in Victoria Tower Gardens the last couple of days with assisting with the queue and reassuring and talking to just the general public and seeing how they're doing. Scouts' honour is to help other people and to serve the Queen, now the King. So it's part of the promise.
Travelled up last night and we've queued for 12 hours, 9 miles, and it was worth it for the 1 minute that we were in there. Very emotional, very moving.
11 and a half hours we queued for, yeah. There was a section where we just stood still for probably an hour and a half, so very achy body, but it was worth it.
People who can't face queuing can go instead to Green Park next to Buckingham Palace to see the millions of flowers laid in the Queen's memory. Almost everyone coming here brings more flowers of their own. And it's not just flowers. Paddington Bear, of course, is everywhere.
I felt really needed to see the flowers. The King and Diana passed, and it's just an experience that I didn't want to miss. Amazing. We all loved the Queen. She was a very respectful, lovely Queen that we're never going to replace.
Everyone determined to pay their own tribute in their own way. All around lovely messages, including this one from the granddaughter of an old friend of ours. Fred has always been so proud he met the Queen.
A very proud day for Fred. Well, let's go back to Phil now. Phil, if today's queues are anything to go by, not everyone who wants to go to the lying in state will be able to.
I'm afraid that's inevitable, Sangeeta. We've seen so much demand over the last couple of days. It's only going to rise tomorrow and Sunday because it is the weekend and fewer people are at work. And the people in charge have made it clear that there will be some kind of cut-off point on Sunday. We don't know exactly when. My guess would be late Sunday afternoon, when they say to people, look, you can't join the queue anymore, because what they don't want is people queuing 8, 9, 10, 11 hours Sunday night into Monday morning, and then being told when they get here, I'm sorry, you can't get in. So there will be a cut-off point. People will be told you can't join the queue, and the idea is that everybody who gets to this point of the queue in the early hours of Monday morning will get into Westminster Hall before the doors close at 6:30.
Let's hope so. Phil, thank you.
London transport chiefs say these coming days will represent the busiest they've ever known in the capital. Numbers greater than the Olympics or royal weddings.
It's a challenge for the Tube and the red buses there, of course, but it's also a challenge for transport bosses in Kent, Essex and Sussex trying to get people up to the city.
South Eastern says it's expecting unprecedented through-the-night demand. One of the busiest stations is likely to be Ashford International and the high-speed trains. There for us this evening, Kit Bradshaw. Kit, what is the advice for people making the journey this weekend?
Well, it is to prepare for a long journey and allow lots of extra time, whether you're travelling up over the weekend to join that queue that we were hearing about, or to try and watch the funeral procession on Monday. As you say, South Eastern adding additional services, including some overnight services to get people back to Kent and Sussex, including to this station from Victoria and St Pancras. Now, Southern Rail aren't having any overnight services, but are running a full normal weekday timetable on Bank Holiday Monday, while C2C are adding additional trains where they can to get people back to Essex. But some of the passengers I've been speaking to a little earlier this afternoon here say that however long it takes, however long the journey, they wanted to make the trip.
I just, in general, just show our respects, really.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, she's just a wonderful monarch, and we'll never see the lights again.
Yeah.
And
it's history.
It is, it's history, and you feel that you want to be a part of it.
I'm excited, and the Queen has done so much for us, so I'm happy, but it's sad that she's done it, because she's the long-lived Queen.
Not everyone will be getting the train, of course. Some will be travelling by car. The advice there is to expect for it to be very busy and not to attempt to drive into central London, especially on Monday, because you won't get very far. Now, National Highways have been lifting the roadworks and planned road closures that they can on major motorways and routes, including on the M23 and M25. But transport bosses say there are other things that people can do to plan ahead themselves.
The roads are likely to be very busy over the next few days, so allow plenty of time for your journey. Make sure your car is well prepared and that you've got plenty of fuel to make that journey. Make sure you've got provisions with you, water, food, etc., particularly for your onward journey if you're likely to be going into the capital for several hours.
They're pretty much full in the morning. We've laid on extra coaches where we've been able to. However, if you check online before travelling for availability, that will give you a better picture up until you need to travel, but you need to be patient this weekend.
Yeah, the coach is already very busy. Victoria Coach Station will be closed on Monday. National Express using Wembley Stadium as their terminus. And my colleague Malcolm Shaw has been speaking to some passengers at Brighton Coach Station today about why it was so important to them to pay their own personal tribute.
At Poole Valley in Brighton, passengers gathered this morning to board a coach to London. Not everyone was travelling all the way to the capital, but the Queen was very much in their thoughts wherever they were heading.
We're going away for a couple of weeks for a holiday. We haven't had one for a few years. I've been quite poorly myself, and I'm having a 2-week break from hospitals and surgeons. So
does it feel odd to be going on holiday right now?
It does. It feels unreal. We've waited such a long time for this, but right now it seems wrong to be going because, you know, I do love the Queen and I do love the royal family.
Yvonne Petch saw King Charles earlier in the week when she happened to be in Belfast on the day of his visit.
When I left the West Indies, it was still under British rule. And whilst I was here, it became independent and so forth. So yes, but I've been here most of my life. I returned after retirement, and now it's nice. It worked out nice that I'm here for this occasion. It's a sad occasion, but also a good occasion that we have a new king. I'm glad I've lived this long.
and others are determined to be in London on Monday to witness the Queen's funeral procession.
I'm planning to be in London by as early as possible on Monday, and regardless of the queues, the crowds, I just feel this whole passing of the Queen, I've just found it overwhelming. And I think for the 70 years that she gave us, I can make this trip to London no matter how difficult or how busy it is. So yes, I feel very honoured actually that I'm to be there.
National Express describes the demand for tickets to London during the period of national mourning as unprecedented. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Brighton.
Well, this weekend's going to be quite a logistical event then, Kit, but it pales in comparison to what will happen on Monday.
Yes, the biggest challenge in Transport for London's history is how the boss of that organisation has described it. And one piece of advice is there are some concerns that there may be something of a mass exodus after the funeral for Her late Majesty has concluded. So one piece of advice is if you are planning to travel up there to watch the funeral, maybe plan to stay a bit longer, maybe take a picnic, maybe prepare to raise a glass to Her Majesty the Queen and stay there a bit longer, and it may make the journey home that bit better for everyone.
Kit Bradshaw, thank you.
The Hindu community of Crawley have come together today to say prayers and commemorate the passing of Queen Elizabeth. The service has been held at the Apple Tree Centre and was organised by the Gurja Hindu Union. With so many members from Commonwealth countries, it was felt only right that temple goers paid their respects.
Those who are coming from Uganda, you know, Idi Amin expelled Ugandan nations 50 years ago. And it was the Queen who welcomed us and requested Edward Heath, the Prime Minister at that time, to sort of respect and respectfully bring us all here. And so that's why we came. And we have been happiest ever after.
Well, if not London, many people have chosen to head to Windsor to pay their respects and to stand along the funeral procession route on Monday.
2,000 police officers are being deployed with support from forces in Kent and Sussex as the town prepares for the Queen's final journey.
Our reporter Mel Blore is in Windsor for us this evening. Mel, how are preparations going there?
Well, yes, Windsor is no stranger to hosting large events. There have been plenty of those over the years, haven't there? But the crowds due here on Monday are almost certainly going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Today, still people arriving in their hundreds to lay flowers and gifts at the castle's Cambridge gate. Now, I've been here pretty much all week and the atmosphere remains calm yet sombre, but you can now really pick up on that sense of anticipation of Monday and the enormity of the occasion.
I think it's going to be a really sad day, and it's just a chance for everyone to kind of reflect on the Queen's life, and she had a great reign, and it's just a moment for everyone to really think about her impact because it affected everyone.
To see the flowers, the people coming, it's just so beautiful because she was such a beautiful person. We've grown up with the Queen here.
I think the organisation and the parades that we've seen, it's going to be a fantastic day. Bittersweet, obviously, but I think it's going to be really good.
Now, tens of thousands of people are expected to line the long walk to watch the Queen's coffin as it makes its way up to St George's Chapel inside the castle here following the state funeral in London. It's a hugely complex policing operation, unprecedented in scale, in fact, with officers being drafted in from all over the world, including Kent and Sussex. There will also be airport security checks, and by that I mean the walk-through screening arches. So that gives you a sense of how tight security is going to be.
So Monday, with the state funeral of Her Majesty the Queen, will be the single largest policing operation that the Met Police has ever undertaken, and I think is ever likely to undertake. It's not just a visible policing operation either. This will be our largest global protection operation that we, the Met, have ever undertaken, with hundreds of world leaders, members of the royal family and other royal families, as well as VIPs attending.
Well, anyone planning to come to Windsor on Monday is being told to expect significant traffic delays. Lots of the roads in and around the town centre will be closed, so the advice is to use public transport if at all possible. If you are driving, check where you're going to park and set off early.
Now, thank you. Well, as we know, this weekend, thousands of people are heading to London and to Windsor to pay their respects to the Queen.
The public can view the Queen's coffin as she lies in state in Westminster Hall until 6:30 a.m. on Monday.
Her Majesty's coffin leaves the hall on Monday at 10:44 a.m. with the King and members of the royal family walking behind. The state funeral begins at 11 a.m. at Westminster Abbey.
The hour-long televised service will be attended by more than 2,000 people, including world leaders and foreign royalty. At 11:55 there'll be a 2-minute silence, followed by a lament from the Queen's piper.
At 12:15, the royal family will follow the gun carriage down Whitehall, through Horse Guards Parade and along the Mall, retracing the Queen's final journey from Buckingham Palace. At 1 p.m, the coffin will be moved to the State Hearse to be taken to Windsor.
It will be driven along the Long Walk and accompanied into St George's Chapel by members of the royal family, led by the King. At 7:30, in private, with the family present, the Queen will be buried with her husband, alongside her parents and sister.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the South East. Still to come.
The handbag designer by royal appointment, the Queen's most important of fashion accessories, and the people who made them for her.
And remember, our royal coverage continues on our website. Please go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us, the numbers on your screen. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. One man who understands the pressures facing those with a major ceremonial role to play is Nigel Enright. In 1997, he was a 22-year-old private in the Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment when he was asked to be a pallbearer at Princess Diana's funeral.
He helped carry her coffin on its final journey at the Althorpe estate for a private ceremony with her closest family. Now retired from the army, he's been speaking to Rachel Hepworth about the honour of being involved and what it means as a serviceman.
25 years on, and Nigel Enright will never forget the day he carried Princess Diana's coffin to its final resting place. He has huge respect for the servicemen preparing to do the same for the Queen.
They're going to have butterflies, the pressure they're going under at that time. So I do feel for them. It's a tough day and it will never leave them, never.
He was just 22, the youngest of the burial party, but like all those chosen, deemed able to cope under pressure with the eyes of the world watching.
Do you feel that pressure of scrutiny? Is that part of this?
Yeah, it's bringing everything back to me. So what they're going through, watching it all every day on the TV, the build up. So they'll be training and just be non-stop, having to choreograph the whole thing. But no amount of training will prepare them for the emotional side of it.
Perhaps surprisingly, on what was a hugely poignant day, they were encouraged not to bottle up their feelings.
They said to let your emotions flow, they really did, but we all held it together. I don't know how, but yeah, the second we walked off, there was tears. I'm not, a big guy, I'm not afraid to admit it, that I did shed a tear. It was emotional, it was just,
But a huge honour.
A massive honour, proud, I was very proud, it was a privilege. And these guys are going to be going through this on Monday, they'll be thinking the same.
Already this week, the military precision, the attention to detail and the respect has been plain to see as the ceremonies of state play out. On Monday, those intimately involved, as Nigel was, will take enormous pride in paying the final tribute to their Queen.
If you had any advice for any of the young men that will be doing what you did, what would that be?
Keep calm, expect the unexpected, and just take it all in and you do her proud.
Rachel Hepworth, ITV News.
Yeah, you can really feel that emotion, can't you? Now, the Queen was a regular visitor to the southeast and she enjoyed many official trips to the seaside. As Princess Elizabeth, she toured Sussex in 1951 and then again as Queen in 1997.
And yes, and on both occasions she was presented with a gold winkle brooch in Hastings. Why, you may ask? Well, Tom Savides takes up the story.
In the grounds, 12 fishermen, members of the lifeboat crew, are presented to Her Royal Highness.
In 1951, Princess Elizabeth is on a tour along the south coast.
As a memento, Princess Elizabeth joins the well-known fishermen's charity organisation, the Winkle Club, and is presented with a gold and pearl emblem.
It begins in Hastings, taking in Brighton, Hove and Worthing. The Queen is back again in 1997. Once again, she's presented with a gold winkle brooch, an emblem ordinarily only given to men.
That's the actual gold winkle brooch.
Richard Stevens from Hastings Winkle Club was in the lineup. He remembers the day very well.
A significant moment we felt for Hastings Winkle Club because the Winkle Island and coming there had been selected as the first port of call.
The Winkle Club was set up in 1900 as a charity, helping local causes. All members must carry a winkle in meetings or face a £1 fine. There is even an island in Hastings with a striking monument of the sea snail. So what is the significance of the winkle?
According to the archives, this fisherman walked into a local pub carrying a bucket of winkles while others were sitting there and considering what name they could give to the club. They had the idea but didn't have the name, and someone, one of the fishermen then allegedly said that we could call it the Winkle Club.
John Burton was the president of the Winkle Club at the time of the Queen's visit in 1997, handing over the brooch. His grandson Christian Burton says royal links go back decades.
Also, the Queen's mother had been an honorary member and she became our patron at the Winkle Club. Hopes that our new king might follow in his mother's footsteps.
The Winkle Club has a long and quirky history. Its members proud to have shared that with the Queen. Tom Savides, ITV News, Hastings.
Now, the Queen was a fashion icon. From her coronation back in 1953, her choice of outfit has always generated global interest.
But the Queen stuck fast to certain brands and certain designs which became synonymous with her. None more so than her handbags by Lorna of London, a brand she remained loyal to for more than 50 years. No one can forget the role her handbag played in this famous clip.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here.
Oh.
For later.
The amazing Queen. Well, her handbag was so much more than just a handbag. Apparently, it was also a way of sending secret messages to her staff if engagements went on too long or if the conversation became dull. But whatever its purpose, the Queen loved her bag and those who made it loved her. Here's Stacey Paul.
Every public engagement that she attended, her handbag was her constant companion.
She told me that she doesn't feel dressed without a handbag, so a handbag is part of her clothing.
Even her 90th birthday portrait featured her handbag in prime position, carried so beautifully by her great-granddaughter Mia Tyndall.
She likes the Traviata best because I think it does everything.
And what were her favourite colours?
Black, cream, that's it.
She was very traditional. She just stuck to those two colours.
She came to a show when we were showing at Buckingham Palace, and she looked at all these hairy colours, and she was amused by it.
She wasn't tempted?
No.
Every bag the Queen owned was specially made for her requirements, and there were certain changes that were made to every one.
We lightened the lining so that she finds it easier to carry, and we put some pockets in that are useful for her, and we make the handle slightly longer.
The Queen loved the fact the bags were made in Britain, and she went to the factory herself to find out exactly how they were made.
She visited my factory in '91, and she spent half the day with us, and everybody found it wonderful. And she was very interested in how our handbags were made. She wanted to go through the whole procedure, and we did show that to her.
So she wanted to understand what she was carrying?
Absolutely, absolutely. A very normal person, a very completely normal person.
When she carried a bag, interest worldwide increased, especially when it was at an event like William and Kate's wedding, when she carried an unusual colour.
It was a beige bag. That's very rare that she carries a beige bag. And she was greeted by the Dean of Westminster at the entrance of Westminster Abbey, and this made a huge photo opportunity for us.
But for Gerald, it's not really about the sales, but the honour of making bags for a monarch.
It's very nice for an immigrant like me. I wasn't born here, but I'm very pro-British and very patriotic. To have a royal warrant, it's a wonderful thing.
Gerald has so many stories of the times he met the Queen designing bags with her dressers at Buckingham Palace, and so many of them are light-hearted and fun.
I think it's one of the officers on the Trooping of the Colour, and he is carrying her bag. Presumably she's sitting on a horse or something. He may be doing it by then. That photograph we've had for a long, long time.
So how would he sum up the Queen and what she meant to him?
She has got a presence and a dignity that she carries, while at the same time behaving perfectly normal. She was really wonderful.
Really wonderful and loved by all who met her. Stacey Poole, ITV News.
What a lovely insight into the Queen, wasn't it?
Absolutely, so graceful. Let's get your weather now. Here's Holly.
Hello there, good evening. We've got cooler air tucking its way in at the moment, so as a result, temperatures lower than we've seen in quite some time, probably since the end of May. Chilly nights as well. Today we've had quite a blustery wind. That's getting a bit lighter, but it is still a noticeable feature. The best of any bright weather probably on the way for tomorrow. We should see some good sunshine actually. So high pressure to the west, lower to the east, that tuck of chillier air coming in. And then high pressure dominates for a few days, but we will tend to find a bit more cloud, I think, feeding in, although also a bit of a recovery in our temperatures. Out there this evening, a few showers perhaps, otherwise largely dry and starry skies for the most part. Into tonight, a little bit less of a breeze than we've seen for today, and yes, those temperatures falling away. We could see some spots in the west, perhaps picking up a touch of grass frost in more prone cold spots. So it is quite a cold start to our Saturday morning. On the flip side, lovely and bright, lots of sunshine from the off, and just a small amount of cloud, I think, bubbling up as the day wears on. Yes, we have still got a breeze around, but it is a little lighter than today, although temperatures probably a shade lower, 15 or 16 degrees. Our high tide times, you've got Sheerness there at 5:33 and again at 5:46 as we push into the afternoon. So another chilly night to come on Saturday night. Then into Sunday, I think we'll tend to find more cloud feeding in for Monday as well. We could catch an odd shower or two, but a lot of the time I think the weather will be dry. Still quite a breeze around, but it does gradually start to ease that bit lighter. And we do slowly see a recovery in those temperatures as well, both by day and by night too. Have a good weekend. Take care.
The ITV Evening News continues next with Mary Nightingale.
For now, though, from all of us here, thank you very much for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.